Hello and welcome back. If you've managed to watch the full process of him, then thank you, because I know that it was very long but there was a lot to cover. But anyway, let's just now get to the figure itself. A closer look at him. All his face, the side, and his sword, and down. Like, you couldn't really see much of his hair detail in the photographs, but if I really do zoom into his torso area or arms, you can see that you can see all the pen lines to represent each hair. Okay, now a better explainer of Revoltech joints is this one here, which hold on a second, smooth dag. This one here, this is a Revoltech joint, and as I mentioned, it's like a 3-part that makes it in order to like a cookie joint. So these are the bores and these are the pegs that attach on. So once you attach a part to it, it can be rotated like that. So that's basically the parts that are used for Dag's joints. So for example, his hand, it can actually move around, and yeah. Like I showed in the process, I used my Chris Redfield figure as a guide for the size, but here he is now next to Chris. I have to stretch because Dag's quite far, because he's quite big, so he has to be quite far in order to fit him in whole screen light. Even though I can't reach him and my arms all stretched. But anyway, here he is next to Chris. As you can see, he is quite a bit bigger. But that's kind of good, because in a way, now Dag is kind of up to scale with Chris, because Dag is quite a big character. But this is very quickly go through the articulation of Chris. He's got these kind of articulation. I'm showing this because the articulation I wanted for Dag is to go for like a Play Out Sky kind of articulation. So I'm just showing what articulation Play Out Sky figures have. Yeah, like you can move all like that, joint like that. Okay. Now for Dag's articulation, I'm gonna have to be very careful because he does have all the articulation of a Play Out Sky, but he's very restricted. Like his coat and the bulkiness of his design really restricts him from articulating that much. But like I showed before, his hand can move, his arm is a double joint, which you can see here the Revoltech joint is actually a double joint, so it can move, not much, but because of this bit here it's very bulky, and a bit here. Unfortunately he can't move his arm like that anymore because it kept falling off here, so I had to glue it on. So now he's lost a bit of movement there. But even if I did move his arm, it's much too heavy, so it always just kind of flops down. So yeah, for his other arm, a bit of a similar problem, but you can move this arm up and down, and here as well. Yep, down. This is his gripping hand to hold the sword. He can hold the sword, but I might not show it because whenever I do it, it really scratches the paint on his hand and sword. So so this is actually a repaint of a green because it got really messed up. But his is a sword, and this is the Revoltech joint I meant by you can attach a sword so that and it can be removed. Bear with me. Here we go. It can be removed. And closer look at the sword. It's quite a big sword. I mean, it's bigger than Dag himself, but yeah, it's pretty cool. Now back to his articulation. His head can move as well, but not too much. Like, you can rotate, you can look slightly down and up. And this is the actual Revoltech joint inside. And this is the hole of his neck. So that slot in there, and that's how it moves. These are the struts, his braces, which I mentioned before. They're flexible because it's Bake and Bend clay. Just to show you the Bake and Blend clay, here's the failed coat all cut up, and you can really see how it got really damaged during baking. But once baked, it is quite flexible. Like, it can really bend everywhere and stuff. Like it doesn't really break, but I don't know. It was just really hard to make and bake it. But you know, maybe it's because it's my first time, but I'm just showing you how much it can bend. Like, pretty good. Now for his groin area, it's also the Bake and Bend, but it's not really that flexible. Like, it's a bit flexible, so that his leg can move slightly forward, but not too much. I don't want to force it because it might damage him, because this figure is extremely fragile. Like, I've lost count how many times I've accidentally broken. Like, I accidentally broke his hand a few times, and his eyebrow here accidentally broke off, and like the shorts and that. Like, it's extremely fragile, so I don't want to force him too much. But yeah, this is the articulation you can do. Like, you can do that and bend his leg. His leg's also double jointed, so if I can, I might be able to. No, not this leg. Yeah, it can go all the way there. Whoa, start to fall. You can go all the way there. So yeah. And then his feet. His feet has this kind of articulation. You can do that. It can go up and down. And as I mentioned, these bits are Bake and Bend as well, so they're rubbery, but pretty fragile. Just bend his leg back. But the most part that really hinders his articulation is his coat. Like I mentioned, I had to use Super Sculpey again, so this coat isn't bendy at all. It's really solid, so this hinders pretty much most of his articulation. He also has a waist articulation. If I can just carefully show. If you can see it, it's slightly moving. And yeah, that's pretty much the articulation of it. He has every articulation of what Chris has, except for this kind of abdomen joint, because Chris has got a waist joint as well as abdomen joint here. But I thought to leave it out because it might look a bit like the joint might look a bit strange for Dag, and besides, like, I hardly ever move Chris's abdomen joint anyway. It's usually always just the same, so I thought I'll just keep his torso as a solid part. But yeah, that's Dag. And as you might have saw in the photograph, you saw this other hand, because I made this hand as an interchangeable hand for his left hand. It's also got a hole, so, but it's not painted. It's still in its raw, just baked form. I can take his hand off to change this one, but it's very, very hard. Like, I might accidentally break him again. But originally, this hand was so that he can do a pointing pose like that. But because his arm can't really stay out, it's too heavy that it always falls down. There's not really much of a point for his hand. So I just kind of left it like that and just put it there just to have, like, just to show that he's got a choice of another hand. If you look at the illustration of him, his braces here actually have the gold and the grey parts for the strap at the bottom, but here it doesn't. Like, I tried painting them on, but I don't know, it just looked really weird for some reason. Like, it didn't look right, and I thought it looks okay with just brown like that. So I tried painting them on, but it didn't look right, so I wiped them off and just left them brown. But yeah, look, also his glasses. His glasses was very hard to make because it's such a small, like, fragile piece of wire, and it was hard to shape it. And it was also hard to make the lens as well. There isn't lens, but as in like the rim of it. Like, I had to use glue and just stick them on. Yeah, it was very hard to do that. But I think overall it looks okay. I mean, it is a bit of a shame that, because my plan was to make this figure and to have like a Playarts Kai kind of version of a figure, but because he's so fragile and very restricted to articulation, it's kind of, you can't really pose him that much. But someone told me that it's still a figure and it may not have much articulation, but it's still the character, and that's what counts. So I guess I agree with him there. So although he's very restricted to articulation, it's still Dag, it's still my own created character, and I guess I'm happy with that. I mean, yeah, Dag, by far this was my most hardest model to make so far. I mean, it was just so frustrating making each part, making each joint work, making each size of it, drawing the sketch line out. It was just very, very tough challenge, but I think in the end it came out okay. Yeah, let's put his sword back on. Just slot in that hole. Try and change his pose if I can. There we go, slightly different pose. Yep. Oh, that's kind of cool actually. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this review, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and hope to see you again soon. See ya.